Well, it's time for Halloween, and in the spirit of Halloween, we're bringing to you the scariest retirement stories that we've experienced through our careers as financial advisors. And we're going to pick out just a couple for you today, but there are many, many, many scary stories that we could bring to your attention. But we're going to bring out two that I think are really relevant as it relates to making sure that you have a financial plan that's set up and in place to be able to avoid these scary stories from becoming a reality for you or your family.
Yeah, and when you talk about scary, Dan, it can also be sad. And this one is very sad. But it hopefully can scare some people into doing the right thing. So a few years ago, met with some people. We talked about estate planning. They're like, I really need to get that done, And I tried to stay on them the best I could. And they kept putting it off. And then there was this trip coming up to the Dominican Republic. And so finally I got them to the point where, okay, let's get this done a few weeks beforehand. So anyway, figured out what they wanted to do. The attorney got the documents all printed and everything, but they were too busy packing and all that to actually get them signed. So they went off on the trip and didn't have them signed and said, we promise as soon as we get back, we're going to get those done. Well, unfortunately, on this trip, I don't even really know what kind of sickness that the lady picked up, but somehow the next thing I heard from the family was that she was taken by helicopter over to the mainland to a hospital and was in really bad shape, and the next thing she passed away, unfortunately, from that situation. And obviously that's very, very tragic, but when the husband came back and then the family, and I met with them, and they were like, we got so close and we didn't get it done. Well, we got his done and that, but the last I knew, some of the documents or some of the things, investments that she had just by herself, it was taking forever. And then another thing, unfortunately, a family member decided they were going to, things didn't work out exactly the way they hoped, and so they were contesting the estate and that, and it just became a mess, and it could have been taken care of. And so we tell you all the time how important it is to plan these things and get it done. Get something in place as soon as possible so that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, if you have anyone or anything you care about, get your estate plan in order and don't procrastinate, because it can turn into a scary story just like this and many others like it. So moving on to another one that we see very common here in the office is really taking too much risk on our investments leading up into the years that we want to retire. And so just thinking recently here in 2022, COVID has done a lot to really want to get people out of the workforce. They're not enjoying it the way that they used to. And so thankfully, the market has done pretty well since 2008, since that crash. And so people have seen significant increase in their wealth, and they didn't make changes. And a lot of people in 2022 that were planning to retire lost 20% of their entire net worth in a matter of months. And a lot of those folks are still working today, just trying to get back to where they were about a year prior. And so they had enough money, took too much risk, then they lost too much money, and now they're having to continue to work just to get it back. That happened in 2008. Yeah. We saw the same thing where people actually lost 40 to 50% of their net worth, worked an additional 4 years basically just to hit that break-even point. It also happened in 2001 and 02 after the dot-com bust, where people made significant wealth during the 90s. Did not de-risk and plan for income and protecting assets in the retirement years, lost another 40-50%, had to work an extra 3 to 4 to 5 years. And so there's a recurring theme here. Yeah. This stuff happens over and over and over, and no one is immune to risk, and the downside is you never know when it's coming. The best way to plan for that is to have a proactive plan. Make sure you're not carrying too much risk, and I say you probably need to start looking at that when you're 5 to 7 years away from retirement.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for watching Retirement Talk. Subscribe here on our channel to get all of our latest videos.